Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the August 20th Mount Vernon City School District School Board meeting. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Trustee McDonough.
Here.
Trustee Maribel.
Present.
Trustee Mitchell. Here. Trustee Middleton. Present. Trustee Njinga.
Here.
Trustee White.
Present.
Trustee Kerwin.
Here.
VP Kelly. And President Saunders.
Present.
We have a quorum. Our first order of business is 2.1. To accept can I have a motion for 2.1 to accept the resignation of Dr. K. Veronica Smith as the Assistant Superintendent for Pupil Personnel Services, Acting Superintendent of Schools, for the purpose of retirement.
Motion.
Second.
Questions, concerns, discussions? All in favor?
Aye.
Oppose? Abstain? Motion carries. To have a motion for 2.2, authorization to grant Dr. Jamal Doggett an unpaid leave of absence effective the close of business on August 20th, 2024 through the close of business on August 21st, 2024.
Motion. Second.
Questions, concerns, discussions? All in favor?
Aye.
Oppose? Abstain? Motion carries. Okay. Can I join us, Lisa?
Welcome to the Situation Room. Okay.
Can I have a motion for 2.3 to approve a contract agreement between Dr. K. Veronica Smith and the Mount Vernon City School District?
Motion.
Second.
Questions, concerns, discussions? All in favor?
Aye.
Oppose? Abstain?
Abstain.
Motion carries. We're going to go on to communications from the public. There is no legal requirement to recognize public comment at meetings of the Board of Education. However, the board recognizes the critical importance of community discourse and involvement in the education of Mount Vernon's children, and accordingly, members of the public are invited to speak at each regularly scheduled board meeting, subject to the terms of the board policy. Please state your name, address, and the organization, if any, you represent. A speaker must register in advance by no later than 4 p.m. the day of the meeting by contacting the district clerk in person at 165 North Columbus Avenue, Mount Vernon, New York, by phone at 914-665-5235, or by email. The board welcomes all respectful comments, whether praise or criticism. However, identifying and criticizing a specific student, parent, teacher, administrator, other Mount Vernon education official, or employee is strictly prohibited. Any such complaint must be presented and addressed through the proper administrative channels. Each speaker is allowed 3 minutes to speak. Up to 1 additional minute may be used for the speaker to summarize and conclude their remarks. If appropriate, board trustees and/or the superintendent or other staff members at the direction of the superintendent may immediately respond to a speaker's remarks. Our first speaker today is John Fava.
John Fava, 780 Gramerton Avenue, Mount Vernon. I just want to congratulate the board on the outcome of the Christopher Columbus thing I was issuing a couple of months ago. Thank you very much. I'm sure you'll come to an agreement with the teachers now as well as you put together. But I, like I had mentioned that time, want to get the ROTC program back into the high school level. And I'm looking for the support of the trustees on this, and in any way that I can help, what has to be done on a military level, what has to be done on a financial level, or what other issues might be stopping such a program from taking effect. I think it'll be beneficial pride-wise for the students that get involved, because when the program was in effect several years ago, I heard close to 30 students come up to this podium and speak, graciously about having the program in effect. They kept it off the streets when their parents weren't home after school projects. They felt good about it. I don't know why the program was eliminated. Was it due to finances? Was it due to, additional membership? So is there the possibility of getting something like this done in the current school year? We can find out whatever difficulties are there, what has to be overcome, and how we can overcome it together. So that there was just one thing I wanted to say tonight. Thank you very much.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate your time, and I hope we can get together on this one, too. Bye now.
Thank you. Jonathan Davis?
My name is Jonathan Davis. I reside at 625 Gramerton Avenue in Mount Vernon, New York. I'm a bit technologically challenged, so I just erased my presentation. But no matter, the things I want to come to you before is talk about a time-sensitive issue regarding Girardi's Nursery, which is located on Orchard Street behind Pennington School. We went out of business a couple years ago, but if you do any gardening or landscaping in Mount Vernon, you would know about this particular facility. A unique opportunity has been presented to me by the developers to find a home for 7 hoop greenhouses that are located on the property. In particular, a gentleman by the name of Frank Mercado has expressed a desire to pay for disassembling and reassembling the greenhouses at locations within Mount Vernon, with particular emphasis on putting these at a school. I've identified Pennington, Graham, Grimes, and Traphagen as possible locations. I'm an avid gardener. I'm involved in community gardening here in Mount Vernon. I have a community garden, not me in particular, but there's a community garden effort which I'm a part at Levister Towers. Anytime you talk about sustainability, a conversation about community gardens has to come up, and it's can be an integral part of a curriculum that ties from K to 6 or even higher, an opportunity for kids to come together and have the experience of working on gardening and understanding the whole process from seed to fruit or vegetable. So, since I did erase my presentation, it's going to be a little briefer than what I was, but I am perfectly willing to forward to the board some pictures of the facility and entertain any questions they might have regarding this. I've had conversations with both Sabina and Chris, and I'm sure this is something that the board can benefit by. Well, it wouldn't be the board. My understanding is it would be more or less the superintendent that would implement this, but I'm ready, willing, and able to supply any type of support and to make this effort move forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Cynthia Crenshaw?
Hi, Cynthia Crenshaw, Mundy Lane. I have a questions about this checkerboard thing that's going on as far as the acting superintendent. I believe that the acting superintendent resigned and Doggett, I don't know what his title is. I'm sorry to mention the name, is taking her place for 1 day unpaid position. What, is there a contract for her to come back on, and what is it? Because I didn't see it on, you're looking at me like I'm crazy. I didn't see it on the board docs. So I'm just concerned about all this moving around, all this plan, and what is the plan? So he's holding her spot for her like a placeholder for her to come back? You can answer the questions once I'm finished. But I was just concerned about that, like what is going on with this district that you are doing this? And who is taking his spot, her spot, whatever? Because all of this going around, it just, we are just really concerned about it. And he's holding her spot. And what, is there some type of contract when the superintendent come back? Because I don't see that on board doc. Is there any money, any increase going on here or anything like that? The next thing is Sylvan Learner Center, I believe. We are paying them $65 an hour. Why not give that to our teachers, their position, for $44 an hour? And the cost per student is $3,349 per student. Up to 125 students, the total cost is $386. Yeah, $386,000. And, pardon me? And how can your child participate in this program? And it's a lot of teachers that is retiring or they left, and I see on board docs we have a lot of substitute teachers at a rate of $279 and some at $175. What is going on with the teachers' contract? What is going on with that? Also, we have a literacy program that started in August for $41,887. For September to June, it's $44,550. Why is it almost the same amount of money for 1 month as it is for the whole year for September to June? And another thing, when I was here, I've been here twice, and I've asked you, why did this lawyer get a $10,000 raise? And you have not responded. I think the taxpayer have a right to know that. Did he go above everybody else? Did he bring in cases that he won? Why do we give this much of a raise to one person when our teachers does not have a raise? Why are we paying Sylvan Learning Center all this money, the $65 an hour, when we can pay our teachers $44? It's a lot of money that's being spent under this board, and you need to be responsible and let the taxpayer know what's going on. This is my third time asking you about this $10,000 raise. Why won't you tell us why he got this raise? Thank you.
And Ms. Ward? Ms. Ward? Okay. That's it for public comments. Reports of their superintendent is next.
Good evening, Board President, Board Trustees. Thank you for this opportunity for me to be the acting superintendent for a day. Good evening, Cabinet members and community. This evening, there are 2 reports under the superintendent's report in addition to community updates. First up, we have Kevin Austin from Sabin Engineers, who will be giving a presentation on what was accomplished with the 2020 bond and an update on the financial situation with the bond.
Thank you for having me back for a review of the 2020 bond, where it currently stands, what's taken place to date. Again, as a reminder, this was back in 2016 that the bond was originally approved by the community for $108 million. In 2017, it was repurposed with some modifications to it. So let's go back in history a little bit just so that everyone can kind of see where we came from, where we are today. So this is Graham. That's how the site looked as far as the playground, basketball courts. As you can see, not really anything there. Next. This is what part of the bond was able to accomplish with the basketball courts, the playgrounds, as well as the fields or the site work itself around the entire perimeter. Next. This was the actual west end of Graham, so that's where the entrance now is. So you can see what it looked like before. Next. And this is what it was turned into. So, of course, the previous entrance on the other side was of course, not nearly as acceptable and necessary, meeting the needs of the district at the time. So now, with these adjustments, that certainly helped out. Continue on. Further items that were completed, the stair and corridor renovations, upgrades to the exit and emergency lighting, IT upgrades, as well as a fire alarm system for $6.9 million. Continue. Going on to the Leadership Academy. The before, as you can see what it looked like. Next. No problem. Yeah. As well as the auditorium. Next. And what the renovations were able to accomplish. That was for $1.3 million. Portion of that was actually out of the annual budget, plus the bond was able to accomplish that renovation. Continue. And next. And that's on the science lab. On to Williams. Again, 80, 90 years of without renovation. You can imagine it wasn't exactly a place where you could really have a comfortable meeting, but now continue. This is now what it looks like once the renovation was completed, as well as ADA accessible for the stage. Continue. Lincoln. Here, the open style was, of course, an issue. This state normally does not provide such instructional space any longer. The accordion style, as well as just without renovations for some time. Next. The renovations on this new science lab, $812,000 in order to be able to, again, move to a pre-K-8. Homes. Definitely issues there prior to 2016. Continue. So therefore, we had the science lab plus some building code work for a total of $1.2 million. Continue. Parker. Again, you can see we're just stepping through what it was before. Next. And what the renovations accomplished for $1.4 million with the new science lab and the pre-K classroom. Again, the emphasis on the community pre-K-8 configuration. A lot of work in Denzel Washington School of the Arts, especially with the that auditorium, 1932, no renovation. So of course, pretty dilapidated, was not in use for several years as of 2016. Continue. The roof, as you can see, definitely had issues all over. Auditorium on the right. Continue. Or the vestibule. The library and the across the street parking, auditorium again. And so now the building-wide interior renovations took place, including the auditorium rehab, which was very large, a new roof, additions for the stairwell on the south end with the stair tower, as well as the elevator, some site work, as well as other site improvements. $21.2 million, along with the new library, and of course the beautiful auditorium. Continue. Yep. New dance studio, as well as the experimental theater, and more conducive parking. For Pennington, existing or pre-existing conditions for the playground, as well as the building itself. So for $19.8 million, we had the two-story classroom addition. We had the science lab, cafeteria, and kitchen, the library, media center, toilet room. So we had the addition plus the renovations on the interior. The south covered walkway, the new science lab. Continue. And continue on. For STEAM. A lot of issues with the structure itself. Continue. That was one of the rooms. Continue. And so now outside, continue on. Extensive masonry repair that was necessary, roof replacement, interior projects in order to make it a STEAM high school. That was one of the requirements as part of the bond. New spaces included the engineering labs, the maker space, shop, science, art, robotics, digital fabrication. So tons of work was done in order to be able to meet the needs of the district and the community and the students. Continue. Mount Vernon High School, as you can see, not exactly the most attractive sports complex. That's what it was prior. So a lot of work went into the phase 1 and phase 2 for the tennis courts, the track, the football field, as well as there was asbestos in 8 of the classrooms that was renovated. And then we did the phase 2 with the baseball field, softball field, soccer, and running path, $6.3 million. Continue. Tripagan just had the science in order to be able to move it to a pre-K-8 for $700,000, $750,000. Continue. IT and security. That was mainly focused on Graham, Pennington, and Thornton for phase 1, as well as Mandela with the Smart Schools Bond and the Mount Vernon STEAM Academy, all requirements in order to be able to bring those buildings up to the standards that were necessary in order to make them STEAM, as well as to complete the renovations under Graham and Pennington and Thornton. Mandela was actually closed in 2016, but in 2017 it was added to the bond. Continue. Those are the existing conditions, the physical structure itself, classrooms. So for $22 million, that was a gut renovation to include the roof replacement, exterior repairs, the facade, stair tower addition, site work included some parking, the walkways, as well as some additional items. Next. That's an example of where the gym is. So as you can see, it was nowhere near being able to be used prior to the 2017 bond, repurposed bond. All right, Grimes. Grimes had originally the demolition of the old annex, the bottom left. However, that was taken out the bond to only focus in on the new scope because of the high cost, some $2 million originally to demolish the Grimes annex. Fortunately, by the board's wise decision to hold and not to award it, allowed for going back out to bid a third time, and it was a total of some $900,000. So basically, you save $1.2 million by waiting. Even though the state did have to get involved, that was a huge savings for the district of over $1 million. Next. Onto the financials, probably the most important thing that everyone wants to hear. Just to step back, though, again, seeing where we came from to where we are now, that was the most critical thing. So for most who have not been on the board or those who are watching, not to have gone into the school to know what it was when the decisions were made, to be able to see how it progressed over the course of 4 or 5 years certainly brings a measure of pride, but that does not mean that everything is accomplished, of course. So to take you back on the financials, in 2015, the architects came in, PGA and Fuller and D'Angelo. There were $170 million in repairs needed. So that had nothing to do with enhancements to curriculum, STEAM, fields, or anything else. That was just to repair the building to put it back to the way it should be, $170 million. Next. However, you see the breakdown of each of the schools, so a decision needed to be made. How do we care for $170 million in building repairs? Next. So ultimately, the 2016, there was a unanimous board decision in order to be able to move toward a bond of the $170 million that was needed in repairs. The board agreed to include only 30% or $49 million in that 2020 bond. So you identify $170 million in repairs, only 49 were going to get cared for. So that means a lot of work was not going to be accomplished, but there's a reason. Notice the why. You did not have sufficient debt service, or you had debt service limits just to borrow. You can't borrow $170 million, and the impact on the taxpayers for that. Also the academic needs. you just can't put the building back to four walls and think that now students are going to have 21st century curriculums and education, as well as the purpose to move toward a pre-K-8 community school arrangement, and given the excellent athletic programs within the district to be able to meet those needs to attract as well as to keep students within the district. Next. So therefore, 121 million in repairs were postponed. And again, we have the reasons why they were postponed. So if in 2016, those repairs were needed, but now they were postponed, it won't be for another how many years before they get addressed. And of course, with everything, things deteriorate because you have, X thousand students going through the district every single year. So therefore, it's going to be wear and tear on the district, as well as the useful life of things will continue to mount, so that you have to replace them, boilers, hot water heaters, and other things. Next. So in March 2016, you see on the left the 49 million that was just in the repairs of the 170. Then you had the academic component of it. Then you had the fields for a total of 108. Next. In 2017, major adjustment. So of the buildings that were proposed in the 2016 bond, the board agreed unanimously to modify that to bring Mandela into the bond. So that 22 million was not part of the original 2016 bond. Pennington was increased. Thornton expanded due to discovered conditions. STEAM Academy had some of the repairs or infrastructure reduced. And the Mount Vernon High School, the infrastructure was completely postponed to only do the fields and some interior work, and Graham was increased. So therefore, 6 schools basically took up the entire bond. So therefore, that $90 million of the 108, of the 108 million, that's only 18 million left for other schools. Next. So therefore, this is what was repurposed or postponed. So all of the infrastructure that was on the 170 million, all those schools had their infrastructure postponed. So therefore, moving forward, $105 million spent to date, 230,000, with a contingency balance of 3.1 million. Some of the proposed projects include the oil tank removal required by DOH. The Grimes chiller needs to be replaced. The Traphagen chiller needs to be replaced and has needed that for some time, as well as the Graham emergency with regard to the ceilings. So we don't have exact numbers on those yet. The reports from the oil tank removal has not been provided from the company that was the bid was awarded to in order to determine what needs to be abandoned versus what needs to be removed, and removing them will, of course, be much more. The Grimes chiller and Traphagen, they haven't gone out to bid. We have initial prices for those, and the Graham emergency with the ceilings has not been, the complete scope has not been identified, just to set up what needs to be done just to open school, not complete repairs. Next. So therefore, 2024, kind of a recap. The 170 was identified in 2015, 49 million was approved by the community in 2016, reduced down to 28 million in 2017. So basically 16% of the work was completed as far as renovations itself. So that explains the bottom number. In 2023, KGD Architects provided the building condition survey that demonstrated that now, instead of 170 million, you have 395 million some 8 years later. And again, that all makes sense. The buildings are 50, 60, 70, 80 years old, and without putting money into them to maintain the infrastructure, imagine your home, if you've lived in it for 80 years and did not renovate anything, over time it's going to deteriorate, let alone if you had your family come over every weekend for 80 years. What would the impact be on your home? So in this instance, the 395 million is what was in your last building condition survey. Next. This is a breakdown of those schools. And as you can see, those that are higher are the ones that were postponed in the 2017 repurposed bond. Next. So this is a breakdown of how the architects review and the engineers, the building condition survey, and finally, Next. Funding, options. So you have a very high building aid ratio. If the district decides in moving forward to see how to meet the needs of those urgent items in priority one that are health and safety. The energy performance contract, depending upon how you continue to utilize the 2017 EPC and operating expenses. So as things are online correctly, you have new furnaces, you have new boilers in some instances, that will save you money. Annual budget capital projects, you can identify some there. Also, the state, New York State actually owes the district some $10 million, which is not slated to be returned until around 2026, 27 school year. And if I'm correct, you still are owed money from the city of Mount Vernon, right? So in essence, you look at all options to be able to meet the needs for your building infrastructure and providing adequate facilities for your students. That's our bond presentation.
Can you answer questions, Mr. Austin?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Can we get a copy of this presentation?
Yes, I think it was uploaded late this afternoon to board docs.
Thank you for that. Of the $395 million in the 2023 building condition survey,
Yes.
what is the timeline? How is that broken down? Like how much is imminent, like 5 years, 10 years?
If you can step back.
Was it on there?
Presentation up, yep. Third slide from the bottom. Keep right there, stop, yep. So the priority ones are year one. So the state requires you to do a 5-year plan, basically, to say how you're going to care for it. And of course, they know the priority fours can be extended for some time. So therefore, the priority ones technically are health and safety, and 2 are right behind it. Those need to be done within a year to 2 years. Priorities 3s, in some instances, they can be deferred for a little while, but in other cases, they cannot, because while the system is functioning, if it's a system, mechanical as an example, and it's at its useful life in 3 years, then if you don't replace it, your cost of dealing with an outage during the winter, as an example, would be catastrophic, right? So you're going to pay much more if you don't address it. So even though it may only be a priority 3, that's the reason why between Mark and Jose and others and the board facilities committee, we'll look at that to be able to determine there are some priorities that need to take place in 3 or 4 that from a district level and from a principal and administration level need attention sooner rather than later.
So at a minimum, we have about $50 million in 3 years.
That is correct.
Okay.
Yes. And that's important to state because those are priority ones in some instances because they haven't been given attention for 8 years, right? So the bond was in 2016, but the analysis was from 2015. This is 2024. How many more years can you go knowing that you have a health and safety issue, which is why the state and the architects will label certain schools as unsatisfactory in certain areas, and therefore, they back the district to be able to do what they have to in order not to then take on liability, responsibility, or to impede the education because you have health and safety issues.
Out of the options for reimbursement or allocation of funds, can you identify how much from each one of those sources we would be able to acquire?
Sure, if you go back. Just one more. Keep going. Oh, I'm sorry, the sources. Last slide. There we go. Yeah. So for the bond referendum, that will typically you have a financial advisor, and I think the district is using capital market advisors. They will be able to look at your debt service. Right now, fortunately, you do have debt coming off. The construction of Grimes, right, was early 2000s, so that's a 30-year project. So that as those projects come off, then you no longer have to pay those loans or, in this case, the bonds back. So capital market advisors would determine what's your maximum borrowing capacity.
Okay, so that
That's
would
where you start.
increase our borrowing capacity once those come off?
Correct. So that's the reason why you have a fiscal advisor to take a look at your entire debt service to say, from your current capacity and where you currently are and on your max cap that you can actually raise taxes, right, in this instance, or in this case, an offset, they will be able to provide you that number. And generally that, is a pretty simple formula for them to do because they're able to get from the state all your debt service for all your projects back to 1998. So those are public record.
So like in layman's terms, it's an income debt ratio formula?
Something to that effect, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, but because in this instance, as they are paid off, it's all principal, as well as your building aid ratio will change. So right now, I had it at 73.6. Sometimes that goes up, sometimes that goes down. By the time that number is not decided until you sign a contract with the general contractor. At that point in time, they lock in what your aid ratio is going to be for that. And for Westchester County, it's 50% more to build in Westchester than it is in Albany. So therefore, the state will give you 50% more in your maximum cost allowance than they would a school district in Albany. So that helps the district considerably, and that's the reason why basically you're able to get through without a tax increase over so many years, was because they strategically, made sure that between the EPC and the bond and the debt service coming off, it was basically a level, you pay your car off, oh, now I can buy another car. Well, you didn't increase it as long as you have the same payment across, for the mortgage or the car.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And for energy performance contract?
The energy performance contract, I think that is still under review with regard to how much savings. The energy performance contract initiated in 2016. The state approves it for 18 years. So you're in a contract for 18 years to say that for $44 million, and that's what the EPC was for, you had some windows installed, LED lights, boilers, some mechanical equipment, and they said if you put in this new equipment, you're going to save X millions of dollars, meaning your costs are going to go down in operating expenses. And so therefore, each year, there's an independent consultant that the district hires that was part of the contract to determine, are you really getting that payback? And so therefore, depending upon that report, you can simply say, we put X amount of dollars for electric and gas service. Well, we actually saved $50,000 this year, $100,000, $200,000, as an example.
And I understand that the annual budget is on us.
Correct.
And New York State funds owed is about 10 million, and the funds owed from from the city of Mount Vernon.
Yes, I'm not sure what that is, but when I originally did the presentation, those were some items that would
Thank
have
you.
a bearing on the district's ability to meet
pay.
those
Thank you.
physical needs.
Thank you.
Question. Of the items, you mentioned the oil tank removal, which we know has been going on. It's been ongoing for years. The oil tank removal, I remember when the discussions were happening with that before, when the last buildings and ground person was here, director.
It's moving now, though.
Yeah. It has been, over a lot of legwork from a lot of folks. The oil tank removal, the grime chiller, trap chiller, grime emergency. Of those things that you mentioned, how many of those are reimbursable by the state? So basically, we front the money with some bond money, but then we get it back from the state. Are any of those or all of those something that we can capture in reimbursable funds?
So in working with Jose as well as Mark, we reached out to the state because that bond was specific to those schools as well as for certain work. So we were able to receive back from the state that if the proposition that the voters approved would capture in general those repairs, then they're aidable. So therefore, we've requested Jose to reach out to your bond counsel just as verification. From my layman's reading of the proposition, they're all general. So the actual proposition that the voters approved was not specific to this school with this floor, with this kind of carpet, tile, or whatever removal. It simply said the interior renovations or what have you in order to be able to meet the needs of the school. With that being said, you just need verification from your bond counsel, and I would review though Grimes, because Grimes being the newer school, whether or not there was any detail in there. So Traphagen should be fine. Graham is pretty straightforward. They did respond back, the state, and I think that, and Graham, of course, is acceptable because Graham renovation was in that bond. So therefore, you would get reimbursement back from the state once we spend the money. The question is, for two of them, we've also reached out to get those as emergency, meaning like Graham, so that you can immediately, number one, transfer that into the bond, right, as being where the funds are coming from, versus your B and G, because then that will lower, Mark's ability to be able to meet urgent needs and repairs and everything else. So I'm working with those two to be able to ensure the state agrees, we move it immediately into the bond so that it gets separated, so that gives you a clear picture of what you really have in your repair budget. That was the main thing.
Okay, that's all I have for now.
Trustees, is that it?
There's got to be more questions.
All right, thank you, Kevin.
Okay, yep, thank you. Yep.
Next up, we have Dr. Christina Bischoff from BOCES, who will present a demographic study conducted last year in our district. Studies like this help districts plan for the future by preparing comprehensive long-range planning studies. So without further ado, we can turn it over to Dr. Bischoff. I hope I said your name right.
Bischoff.
Okay.
Good evening. Thank you for having me here tonight. At the request of the Mount Vernon City School District, the Western Suffolk BOCES Office of School Planning and Research conducted this study to assess recent demographic factors and enrollment trends to prepare projections through the 2033-2034 school year. Since 1985, the Office of School Planning and Research has completed more than 1,400 studies for districts throughout New York State. We help districts plan for the future by preparing comprehensive long-range planning studies. These reports research, review, and analyze demographic trends and historical enrollment patterns to develop student enrollment projections for the district. Studies have been completed for districts in Dutchess, Nassau, Orange County, Putnam, Rockland, Suffolk, Westchester, and other New York State counties. Here we see the key components typically involved in a study. It is divided into two main sections, the demographics and enrollment. The demographics section focuses on various factors, including birth rates, housing data, population statistics, and the enrollment figures for non-public and charter schools. These elements are essential in understanding the broader context and background of the population being studied. The enrollment section focuses on the trends observed over the past 10 years, the patterns of student migration from one grade to the next, and analysis of birth persistence. These aspects are crucial in tracking and predicting changes in student enrollment over time. By analyzing both components, we then calculate projected enrollment over the next 10 years by district, school, and grade level. In order to ensure we are using the most accurate and up-to-date data, these are some of the many research sources that we used, as well as many others. So let's look at the demographics. This graph shows Westchester County recorded almost 13,000 births in 2001. Since then, births declined more than 21%, with slightly more than 10,000 births recorded in 2021. Although this was a slight increase compared to the previous year, the lowest level of this historical period was in 2020, with 9,634 births recorded. This chart illustrates the number of births in Mount Vernon City School District from 2011 to 2021, as reported by the New York State Department of Health. Birth numbers remained relatively stable from 2011 through 2020. However, there's a noticeable decline that occurred in 2021, with 41 fewer births reported. The Mount Vernon City School District resident population also decreased slightly by 1,089 residents from 2000 to 2010. However, there was an increase of 6,601 residents from 2010 to 2020. We also see a change in the Mount Vernon School City District resident age structure. There was a decrease in school-age students from 2000 to 2020. There was also an increase in residents over the age of 40. The median age in 2020 was 39.6 years, which is similar to the median age in Westchester County, which is 41.1 years. This also shows that there has been a 5% decrease in households with children under 18 in the school district from 2000 to 2020. Here we see the housing sales in the school district. Sales were at their lowest in 2012 with a total of 202 sales. We see a peak in 2019 with 441 sales. Most recent sales in 2021 and 2022 remain steady at 366 total sales. Simultaneously, there was a change in median home sales prices in the school district. Home sales prices were at a low in 2013 with a median price of $300,000. There has been a significant increase since then. In 2022, the median home sales price was $620,000. Now let's look at the enrollment. This slide illustrates the trend in Westchester County school districts, student enrollment over a 10-year period from 2013 to 2023. The graph shows a steady decline in the number of students, starting with 146,341 students in 2013 and dropping to 136,368 students by 2023. This represents a total loss of 9,973 students over the decade. The most significant declines appear to have occurred after 2019, with enrollment numbers falling consistently each year. Now let's look at enrollment in the Mount Vernon City School District. This slide represents both historical and projected student enrollment trends in the district over a 20-year period. So from 2013 to 2023, it's considered a historical enrollment, and from 2024 to 2033 is our projected enrollment. The graph shows that student enrollment peaked at 8,190 students in the 2014 school year before beginning a steady decline. Between 2013 and 2023, there was a loss of 1,577 students, with enrollment dropping from 8,060 to 6,483 students. Looking forward to our projections from 2023 to 2033, there suggests a continued downward trend, with an anticipated loss of an additional 1,315 students, bringing the total of 5,168 students by 2033. Can you go back one? So that was looking at K through 12. This is looking at specifically grades K through 8. This slide represents both historical and projected student enrollments over the 20-year period for K through 8 schools. The graph shows that student enrollment peaked at 8,190 students in the peaked at a high of 5,757 students and a low of 4,349 students, resulting in an overall loss of 1,408 students over that period. Looking ahead at the projected enrollment from 2024 to 2033, there also continues to be a downward trend, with a high of 4,209 students in 2024 and a projected low of 3,516 students in 2033. This indicates a further loss of 693 students in grades K through 8. Now let's look at grades 9 through 12. The historical enrollment data from 2013 to 2023 shows a high of 2,438 students and a low of 2,115 students, resulting in an overall loss of 323 students during this period. The projected enrollment for 2024 to 2033 indicates a continued decline, with a high of 2,130 students and a projected low of 1,652 students, leading to an additional loss of 478 students in grades 9 through 12. So these are some factors that are impacting this projected enrollment. So kindergarten enrolled more than 550 students in the first 7 years of the historical period. In recent years, enrollment has decreased. with 476 kindergarten students currently enrolled in 23-24 school year. It is expected that 482 students will be enrolled next year, in 2024. Subsequently, kindergarten cohorts are projected to range from 415 to 439 students through 2033. The incoming kindergarten class has been larger than the graduating 12th grade class of the previous year in 7 of the last 10 years. However, this trend is expected to reverse during the projected period, with anticipated losses of between 1 and 83 students expected in 7 of the next 10 years due to this displacement. Migration ratios also show year-to-year fluctuations. So by migration ratios, it means students that are moving from grade to grade together in cohorts. So on average, the district loses students in transition to all grades, except for grades 1 and 9, where average grade gains are noticed in transition. District resident students enrolled in charter schools has increased from 252 students in 2013 to 594 students in 2023. The highest enrollment is seen in grades 6 through 12. The average grade level size decreased in grades K through 10 during 2018 and 2023, as compared to the 2013 and 2018 school years. Additional grade level size decreases are anticipated in all grades from K through 12 during the 2023 and 2033 school years. Thank you.
Is she done? Okay, that's it. Questions? Trustee Marable?
Hello, just a question in terms of births. How did you determine the births for the Mount Vernon City School District since we don't have an actual location where children are born in the city of Mount Vernon?
So if you go back to that slide. So the New York State Department of Health gives us that information.
So that's an estimate, probably.
That's what they guess, that's their estimate.
And you indicated housing sales. Did you have any reason to study rentals or individuals that are renting properties?
We do, we look at everything. We look at new construction, we look at rentals to see if any incoming sales would affect the school district.
Okay, did you put those trends? I didn't see the trends in your
No
analysis.
effect in them, so we didn't add them.
Okay, and I saw that, I heard you mention charter schools and the impact of charter schools, but I did not see it actually written. It kind of skipped.
It's in the full report.
It's in the full report.
So I can definitely break that down for you.
Okay, and then the full report will be distributed to the board?
Yes, we can give copies to the board.
Okay, thank you. Oh, one other question. Do you have any, are there any trends in terms of solutions as to what we can do in order to reverse some of these trends? I mean, I know we can't make people have babies, right? So beyond that, I was actually at a conference where they talked about pre-K enrollment being one of the solutions, school-based health centers being another solution. Do you have any comparison with the Cornell University study when it comes to the trends in terms of decreased enrollment in school districts?
I can definitely look more into that if you would like me to.
Thank you.
Any other questions, board members?
Okay, Dr. Bischoff, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
A few more updates to the community from the superintendent's report. This one is specifically for the Graham School community, and this is an update on the roof collapse. Substantial progress has been made on the construction and maintenance efforts at Graham School in response to the recent ceiling collapse. Demolition and cleanup in critical areas have been completed, and the bracing of ceilings in multiple classrooms is scheduled to commence shortly. Ceiling grid installation is currently underway and near completion. The engineers have conducted thorough inspections of additional probe areas throughout the building, and we anticipate receiving their recommendations within the next day or so. At this time, we remain on track to open the building as scheduled for the start of the school year. If any changes occur, we will notify you immediately. On a lighter note, we would like to welcome back all staff members who returned to work from their summer vacation to put the final touches on preparing for the first day of school. We also look forward to our wonderful teaching staff returning to work on Wednesday, August 28th, in which they will report to their school buildings to view the superintendent's convocation via Zoom. Immediately after, they will attend building-based PD assigned by their principal. On August 29th, all K-8 staff will attend district-wide professional development, and all high schools will attend building-based PD. The first day of school for all students will be Tuesday, September 3rd. This will be a half day of school for students, followed by building PD for staff. As a reminder, this will be a half day for students. Students will be dismissed at 12 o'clock and 11:30 for the high schools. This year's school theme will be Back to Basics, Forward to Mastery. And what that means, we know we went back to basics last school year, focusing on the fundamentals, but this year we're going to only focus on a few initiatives and do them well to make sure we increase student outcomes. This year's instructional focus will be on I-rated instructional use in grades K through 8, increased writing activities across the content area, which includes the science of reading and high-impact practices in the K through 12 curriculum, strengthening the process of using data to drive instruction, and phonics-based instruction lessons in the middle grades, specifically grades 4, 5, and 6. We will have ongoing PD to build our staff's capacity over the course of the year, and that concludes the superintendent's report.
Thank you, Dr. Doggett.
You're welcome.
So,
Okay, we're going to go on to committee reports.
okay, we'll start committee reports with Dr. Maribel.
I'm not a chair of a committee yet, so I will defer to the chair of the committees for the meetings that I did attend. So I'll wait until our chairs report out.
Okay. Trustee Middleton?
I'm not a chair either. Basically, I did sit in on the HR meeting and the policy, so I would refer to those people as well in terms of, the meeting, who's instrumental in spearheading the meeting.
Okay, Trustee Jenga?
Okay. I'm going to give the security update for the security meeting we had last week. The security officers training, all security officers will receive their mandated BOCES recertification and CPR training on August 28th and the 29th. 2 officers from each building were trained on the new student ID and the visitors management system. Uniforms for security officers. Approximately 105 security officers have been measured for new uniforms. The uniform order has been received and is being prepared to ship in the next few days or so. Uniforms should arrive approximately 2 days after the date of shipment. This is the first district-wide uniform purchase in over 3 years, resulting in significant cost savings and promoting uniformity and professionalism among the security staff. Footwear was provided last year and will be provided to all new full-time hires and replace as needed. Hiring additional per diem security officers. Active recruitment is underway to ensure full staffing capacity of the upcoming school year. 5 officers resigned or retired. 3 per diems were promoted to full-time. Interested candidates are encouraged to apply our Talent Ed portal on the district's website. I did have a question for Mr. Ramundi. Why did it take so long? Like, what happened with the uniforms? Because I know we're supposed to vote on a transfer tonight. Like, what is that about?
Good evening. So there is a transfer tonight. The uniforms are moving at the speed that we anticipated they would. The orders are already processed. We're setting up for delivery in the next few days. So it's the transfer. So as far as timeline, uniforms are on their way. Transfer, I couldn't figure out how much money needed to be transferred until I got their final invoice because the budget line for the security uniforms was under budgeted. So I wanted to get the accurate number to not over-transfer to the right amount to push the order through. But the order's through. Once they're delivered, then we can render payment.
Okay. No, all right. Thank you so much. I think that was it. Oh, and I chair the security committee.
Do you have a report on that, Trustee Jenga, or no? Did you have a meeting?
Yeah, we had a meeting last week. That was what we spoke about at the meeting. And other things.
Trustee Kerwin?
Okay, so I don't have committee report from the Budget Committee. However, oh, sorry. Okay. Check. I don't have a report from the Budget Committee. However, we will be meeting with the Comptroller of the city Comptroller, Dr. Morton, just to keep the communication open as far as the taxes that's owed to the school district. It would be Dr. Smith, Jose, Trustee, or the President Sanders, and myself. We will be meeting with him on August 29th. So the next meeting, I will be having an updated report to give about the budget as far as the taxes owed by the city.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
That's
Trustee
it.
Kerwin.
Oh, also, I will be setting up an audit committee report because I know we had audit being conducted in the business office, and it's been a while, and we have been requesting the final report, and we have not gotten it. So I will be setting up a meeting with all the trustees. All the trustees are members of the audit report. And also for our external auditors, the external auditors will be coming into the district in September. So we need the internal audit and also the risk assessment before the external auditors come in. So I will be setting up that meeting with all the trustees soon, very soon, because we need to know what's going on. It's been a while now. I think it's almost 6 months since they conducted that audit. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Trustee McDonough?
Yeah, I attended an IDA, the Industrial Development Agency meeting on August 8th. Most of it had to do with Gear and Piston, which is a leasee of a building that the IDA owns. There was a collapse there. You might have read about it in the paper. So that was it. One thing that happened that was germane to us was one of the developers who's seeking a 30-year pilot, the Q West project. They submitted a couple of additional schedules, cash flow schedule and a shelter rent schedule. As a PDF. They didn't discuss it, they just submitted it. And what they're looking to do is put in what they are calling a school investment in years 16 through 30 of the pilot that amounts to about $550,000 additional dollars. As I said, that was not discussed. I imagine it will be discussed at one of the upcoming meetings. So that's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. McDonough. Trustee Mitchell?
So, excuse me. I sit on the security committee, but I wasn't aware of the meeting. Who made the, how did I get left out?
That was the meeting that we had, the security and the building. It was
Is that the one
combination.
that I came in late on? Is that the same one? Okay, I just wanted to make sure I didn't miss something. All right. All right. It gets crazy.
They didn't leave.
Oh my God.
You were
I started to feel like a stepchild. Say it again.
Came in 10 minutes before it was over, that one.
Sounds good. So the only question I have is related to, we've been talking about uniforms and shoes for months. You've given us briefs on it, where we stood. It seems to, it's moved around in different directions. I noticed that it was mentioned shoes for new hires and seemingly niche to security guards, when the shoes and uniforms are supposed to be for food services and security. Has that changed in the last week or two?
No, so security has their contract, and then food service workers is under the CSEA contract. All three contracts specify new hires get shoes. After that, it's, well, that's it. New hires get I guess, footwear, boots they call them. And then it's replaced as needed. So that hasn't changed. So last year, January, all the current employees for CSEA, with the exception of food service and security, did receive footwear. So this year, anybody new to the district would get footwear, or if their footwear is destroyed or needs to be replaced, then we can replace it for them.
So the people who are already on, who need their footwear replaced, they would receive their vouchers?
If they bring it in and show that the footwear is destroyed, then the district would replace it for them.
So my next question is timing on when they're going to receive the vouchers. Historically, this district, we've been giving our people their equipment, their uniforms and shoes, November, December next year. We've talked about this. I asked you about this from this seat. How are we with timing with making sure that our food service and security workers, both new and in place, receive their vouchers on time? And where are we in the second piece of timeline? Will our security guards and food service people, will everyone have the uniforms by September 3rd when we open up the buildings?
Okay, so first question with the footwear, as soon as they bring them in, we can give them the vouchers.
So they've received them?
No, they don't get them until they bring it in, because if they're a new hire, we take their name, we'll issue them a specific voucher. But if you're an existing employee and your footwear is destroyed, when you come in, you say, hey, Mark, I need new footwear. Okay, then we can now issue them a voucher. We don't issue blanket vouchers, because otherwise we'd spend $70,000 a year in footwear just to buy shoes for everybody every year. So in adherence with the contracts, if their footwear is destroyed, they come in, okay, then we'll hook them up with a voucher. But otherwise, we would have no idea of knowing that.
What is the prerequisite for you to be approved to get a shoe? Does your shoe have to be torn in half, talking in the back, talking in the front, back and front? Who makes the decision?
I guess if it's a health impairment, but I mean, we're not going to split hairs. If somebody's coming in and say, listen, Mark, I need new boots, we're going to hook them up. I mean, my job is to support our workers and help them make sure that they're covered. So we're not going to get to that granular level. And then as far as the delivery date, so I just had an email communication with the sales rep I've been dealing with. And I'll read you, quote, his email. The decorator just sent this to me below. They are located in North Jersey, so there should be a day or two to deliver. Fronts are complete and backs will be completed today. Should be able to ship tomorrow. And this was sent to me at 12:59 p.m. Okay. So I'm hoping worst case Monday next week. But I was very clear, we need to get uniforms on our people. It's been too long, which is why they're operating and doing all this before we were able to issue a PO, because I did the budget transfer, but they took me at my word that we'll do the right thing, and we will.
Sounds good. All right, so moving on to buildings and grounds. We've been doing kitchen walkthroughs, Mike Ragusa and myself. Thank you, Mike. We've seen, identified certain things in our kitchens, and we're working. It's what's driving these 2-week work reports that Mike gives us, a lot of it, the kitchen part of it, working on getting the cafeterias to look like they're beautiful, like they're supposed to, getting the equipment that's broken out and getting repairs done, ensuring that we have a service provider who's going to service the machines that should be serviced, but be honest enough to tell us stop wasting money on, one-off calls for us to fix when we should just go ahead and replace it. So, I'll attack half of this list, and I'll let Wanda go ahead and take over. She's the chair. Hamilton had some repairs to the outside bush bar gate. Columbus, or leadership, we replaced rotted plywood on the floor and retile floor in certain rooms. We had the AC chiller Ben Turner repaired back online. Grimes, we had some repairs to the AC there. Leadership main office AC had no power. We checked and replaced the breaker. This is all in-house for the most part, right? That's good to know. Some repairs to sinks in leadership. 7 new roofing repair jobs approved at high school, Honor Academy, Hamilton, Grimes, Ben Turner, and Leadership. Added water and hose bib to Mount Vernon High School greenhouse in-house. District oil tank work is ongoing. I know we stopped at Graham when we left the kitchen there. We identified some things going on in there in that kitchen that I believe you already started working on. We talked about the oil tank situation. We're good in that Graham kitchen. Is everything that we covered addressed?
Everything on my list is done. It's on that.
Thank you, I appreciate that. So the Mandela School got their cafeteria painted. That's great. Graham replaced cardboard with finished plywood. That's nice, very good. Boiler inspection at Denzel. I got to ask about the elevators across the whole district. Can we please have something that talks to all the elevators in our district to ensure that they are all operational by September 3rd? We do have a handicapped population that need them. So any of those elevators, we got a report about inspection a few months back, which very thankful. Can we get that soon, well before school opens? Because we do have buildings that don't have their elevators working right, I heard. Okay, cool, I'm gonna stop there. Turn it over to Trustee White, who is the chair. No, I want to make sure they know.
Yes, good evening, everyone. My first report is going to be about HR. We had a meeting, and I forgot the date. I didn't write it down. But we did have a meeting. We met with Mr. Noel Campbell. Sorry, Mr. Campbell. And he went over his SMART goals. He has an open door policy, but prefers you to please call and set up an appointment if you have a question with HR. To apply for a job, please go to the website, look under employment, go to the middle of the page, press it, and all the listings of all the jobs are right there in the middle of that page, and it will give you all the information you need what to do. We hired about 100 new teachers for this year, and I'm sure we're still missing some because all over, not just Mount Vernon, but all over the state, all over the country, there is a big teacher shortage. I talked to people in Atlanta, North Carolina, and they are all struggling to get these teachers. All the listings of all the jobs are right there in the middle of that page, and it will give you all the information you need what to do. We hired about 100 new teachers for this year, and I'm sure we're still missing some because all over, not just Mount Vernon, but all over the state, all over the country, there is a big teacher shortage. I talked to people in Atlanta, North Carolina, and they are all struggling to get these teachers. So we're thankful for what Mr. Campbell and his team has done to recruit as many as possible. And our next meeting is the 12th of September. Going over, switching hats to the facility. We troubleshooting some of the Grimes kitchen exhaust fans. We got that repaired. I have to say, this committee, and then that committee, Mike, I says his name wrong every time, Ragusa, and that committee. I mess it up, but I know I do, but you know who I'm talking about, Mike. And Mark Ramonde and that staff has worked so hard this summer getting our buildings in place and getting ready for our new school year. And there's a lot of work here on these pages, and they have done a remarkable job. I will not bore you with everything that has been done, but I want to give a hand clap to these people. That's building and grounds and everyone that's been working on our buildings. And to our custodians who are also working hard, getting the buildings ready for our September. And to our painters. I mean, all of them, everyone that has been working on our buildings have really done a good job, and I just love to, and I have to talk to you, Mark, about something. Okay, and that's the end of my report.
That's it, Trustee White?
I did that. All the listings of all the jobs are right there in the middle of that page, and it will give you all the information you need what to do. We hired about 100 new teachers for this year, and I'm sure we're still missing some because all over, not just Mount Vernon, but all over the state, all over the country, there is a big teacher shortage. I talked to people in Atlanta, North Carolina, and they are all struggling to get these teachers. So we're thankful for what Mr. Campbell and his team has done to recruit as many as possible. And our next meeting is the 12th of September. Going over, switching hats to the facility. We troubleshooting some of the Grimes Kitchen exhaust fans. We got that repaired. I have to say, this committee, and then that committee, Mike, I says his name wrong every time, Ragusa, and that committee. I mess it up, but I know I do, but you know who I'm talking about, Mike. And Mark Ramonde and that staff has worked so hard this summer getting our buildings in place and getting ready for our new school year. And there's a lot of work here on these pages, and they have done a remarkable job. I will not bore you with everything that has been done, but I want to give a hand clap to these people. That's building and grounds and everyone that's been working on our buildings. And to our custodians who are also working hard, getting the buildings ready for our September.
And to
Our painters, I mean, all of them, everyone that has been working on our buildings have really done a good job. And I just love to, and I have to talk to you, Mark, about something. Okay, and that's the end of my report.
That's it, Trustee White?
I did that.
That's good, thank
Madam,
you.
Madam Chair, may I make a recommendation in terms of the, when we give our reports at our meetings? If you could call the actual committees in alpha order and allow the chairperson to present the report, and then if the chairperson has another individual on the committee that would like to, or that they designate to share information, if they could then do that, only just for me in terms of organization, so that I understand the process and each report is actually represented, so that we can just hear which each committee is. And if there is no report, then the chairperson would just say no report. Just a request for a recommendation.
Is that okay, trustees? Did you
I
understand
mean,
what she
like,
said?
Warren, I'm missing everybody's name tonight. Warren and I work as a team. I mean, I'm chairperson, but truly, we work as a team on the facility committee, so.
Understood. And I guess an example would be that if you call out the education committee, the chairperson of the education committee would give the report, and if there was a subsection of the report that someone else would give, then the chairperson would say that I would like for another, let's say, Trustee Middleton to add to that report, or if there's anyone else on the committee that would like to add to the report. And that way it would just be more comprehensive, just a recommendation.
Okay, that's something we can work on, no problem, thank you.
No problem.
So we had a policy committee yesterday. Dr. Gabaton, in-house counsel Royce Russell, Trustee Njenga, Trustee Middleton, Trustee Kerwin, the Kelly Ramsey, who is our special education, and I guess she's our compliance person, and myself. We discussed a lot of policies that we're going to redo and revisit, so I'm just going to give you a few in a nutshell. Policy on sexual harassment, school district website will will need to have a state policy requiring Title IX and sexual harassment. Previously, sexual harassment was included in the district policy for DASA. Going forward, we will have to write it as a standalone policy in conjunction with Title IX. Policy 2245, students will be eligible to sit as a student member on the school board. That policy we're going to review. The committee has to make a determination about New York State mandate lactation policy and how the Mount Vernon City School District will put this policy into effect. We talked in detail and ad nauseum about that policy. So we have more work to do on that. I'm just going to give you a few more in a nutshell. The district employees will be reminded that they will be mandated on child abuse reports. Everyone has an update on their DASA training before 2025 due to recent updates on their policy. Dr. Ramsey will be responsible for the Title IX complaints made by students. Dr. Gaviton for those made by adults within the Mount Vernon City School District. And code regulations is the grievance process. There has to be a formal documentation process which the committee must agree on by this Wednesday. So we discussed that, and we have to give her an answer by this Wednesday. That's all I have right now. And that concludes the committee reports.
Old business?
Good evening. I'm going to respond to questions that was asked from the public from the July 16th board meeting. Is the investigation with the superintendent due to negligence as a contractor or educator? The superintendent is not a contractor, and the investigation is due to negligence and more as the charges are public. Question 2. What percentage and dollar amount did everyone receive with the title changes? No percentage of any dollar amount was given to title changes. Question 3. How does the lawyer go above anyone else and get a $10,000 raise? The board approves and votes on all contracts and compensation. Question 4. How can one person stop people from giving their opinion about this board? Question 4. No person can stop another from giving their opinion about this board. However, one person can stop the forum for which an opinion is given.
That's it for old business? Thank you.
Is that it?
That's it.
We're going to move on to our resolutions. Can I have a motion for 6.1, approval of daily rates of pay for certified and uncertified substitute teachers, certified and uncertified teaching assistants, per diem security monitors, per diem typists, and per diem lunch monitors? Can I have a motion, please?
Motion.
Second.
Questions, concerns, discussions? All in favor?
Aye.
Oppose? Abstain? Motion carries. Can I have a motion for 6.2, approval of Human Resources 109A, certified?
Motion. Second.
Questions, concerns, discussions? All in favor?
Aye.
Oppose? Abstain?
Abstain.
Motion carries. I have a motion for, can I have a motion for 6.3, approval of Human Resources Resolution, non-certified?
Motion.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Questions, concerns, discussions? All in favor?
Aye.
Oppose? Abstain? Motion carries. Can I have a motion for 7.1, authorization to hire a substitute administrator to the staff and resolution for the Mount Vernon Aquatic Facility?
Motion.
Second.
Questions, concerns, discussions? All in favor?
Aye.
Oppose? Abstain? Motion carries. Motion for 7.2, authorization to enter into an agreement with Friendship for Tots to provide pre-K 3 and pre-K 4 programs for the 24-25 school year.
Motion.
Second.
Questions, concerns, discussions? All in favor?
Aye.
Oppose? Abstain?
Abstain.
Motion carries. Can I have a motion for 7.3? Authorization to enter into an agreement with Our Lady of Victory to provide pre-K 3 and pre-K 4 programs for the 24-25 school year.
Motion.
Second.
Questions, concerns, discussions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Abstain? Motion carries. Can I have a motion for 7.4? Authorization to pay Mount Vernon STEAM Academy teachers to participate in online training to teach Project Lead the Way courses.
Motion.
Second.
Questions, concerns, discussions? All in favor?
Aye.
Oppose? Abstain? Motion carries. Can I have a motion for 7.5, authorization to pay Mount Vernon STEAM Academy teachers to participate in online training to teach AP courses?
Motion.
Questions, concerns, discussions? All in favor?
Aye.
Oppose? Abstain? Motion carries. Can I have a motion for 8.1? Authorization for Sullivan Learning of Bronxville to provide supplemental tutoring services from August through October during the 24-25 school year.
Motion.
Second.
Question.
Questions, concerns, discussions?
Question?
How will, no, I'm sorry.
No, you were first.
No, no. My mother raised me.
Can you share what the rationale is for us using Sylvan Learning Center?
So currently, Sylvan Learning Center is in 2 of our grants. Sylvan is in ARP, which is funding that has to be spent by next week, 8:30. It was written in the grant. Sylvan was also written in Title I, Part 1A, which is intervention services and supplementary services. So 2 different amounts was written. Upon looking, we started doing the new consolidated application. The report is due 8:30, and we have to spend the fund. We did try with the state to see if we could use it a different way. We are unable to do that. However, in the new application, we will reduce the amount we will be using Sylvan.
So I guess my question is, when did we know that we needed to utilize the funds, and why did it take so long to identify that we had not used them?
So I took over the grant on July 1st. First, I dealt with what was due first, which was Smart Scholars, MBK, and other grants that were due, and reports were due. Then I move on to Title I and ARP.
Thank you.
How different is this? Looks like this is designed to support before academic power hour begins. Is that true?
The way we have it set up, the first one, I email all the principals and ask them to give us all their level 1 and 2s. So those students will go to Sylvan. I have the list from each building. A QR code is going to be created and sent to those parents. Email will be sent to the parents, and those students will go to the center, level 1 and level 2, for one-on-one tutoring. No more than 5 students in a group. The second one is to provide our student with Regents Prep. Those who have failed, those who need to pass ELA, all students are included in both. The biggest thing we had to do is make sure we encumbered the money, meaning we have a PO, we put it in before 8:30, so we do not have to give back $500,000.
So you answered my question that I was coming up with, was how was we determining what students would actually go to this program? And it's the 1 and 2s, you said, according
Yeah.
to what the buildings report. I noticed you said also this is grant money that we had to spend. There's a time frame?
Yes. So ARP funding will be over. We are not getting any more ARP funding. That money goes away. And it has to be
Second.
Questions, concerns, discussions? All in favor?
Aye.
Oppose? Abstain? Motion carries. I have a motion for 8.7, authorization to approve the Mount Vernon City School District Comprehensive Improvement Plan and School Comprehensive Education Plan for the 24-25 school year.
Second.
Questions, concerns, discussions? All in favor?
Aye.
Oppose? Abstain? Motion carries. I have a motion for 8.8, authorization to continue services with Mercy University to implement Smart Scholars Program with the Mount Vernon City School District for the 24-25 school year.
Motion.
Second.
Questions, concerns, discussions? All in favor?
Aye.
Oppose? Abstain? Motion carries. I have a motion for 8.9, authorization to enter into agreement with Maura Gutierrez to serve as parent liaison for the 24-25 school year.
Motion.
Second.
Questions, concerns, discussions? All in favor?
Aye.
Oppose? Abstain? Motion carries. Can I have a motion for 8.10, authorization to enter into an agreement with Pamela Valdovinos to serve as parent liaison for the 24-25 school year.
Motion. Question.
Questions, concerns, discussions?
Just, I'm backwards, but are compact committees involved with these hirings?
So they are part of that grant currently. They'll be part of Title I. They are our parent liaisons before. They did, jobs were posted, they were hired. So every year, they're going to get a 1-year contract. So we have to redo their contract every year.
Right, I'm just saying, is there so there's no compact committee?
No, because they were hired before.
Okay,
So
so- okay,
these are
got it.
all parent liaisons who are coming back.
Contract, I get it. Yeah, I get it, thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Oppose? Abstain? Motion carries. Can I have a motion for 8.11? Authorization to enter an agreement with Elizabeth Smith to serve as parent liaison for the 24-25 school year.
Motion.
Questions, concerns, discussions? All in favor?
Aye.
Oppose? Abstain? Motion carries. Can I have a motion for 8.12, authorization to enter into an agreement with Sheba Greenwood to serve as parent liaison for the 24-25 school year? I need a second.
Second.
Questions, concerns, discussions? All in favor?
Aye.
Oppose? Abstain? Motion carries. Can I have a motion for 8.13, authorization to enter into an agreement with Veronica Graham to serve as parent liaison for the 24-25 school year?
Second.
Questions, concerns, discussions? All in favor?
Aye.
Oppose? Abstain? Motion carries.
Question, really quick, I'm
Oh.
sorry, I'm off beat, but the attachment for 812, it looks like the contract name does not match what's in the resolution. I'm just making it so that we can fix it. Do we need to pull it and revote, or can you just update the background documents?
No.
812 is Sheba Greenwood, but it looks like I'm sorry, which one is it? Oh, I might have been looking at. It's correct? Okay, cool, I'm sorry, I didn't refresh, no problem. Thank you, moving on.
Can I, wait, did I do Veronica? I did, okay. Can I have a motion for 8.14? Okay, authorization to enter into an agreement with Cheyenne Belfour to serve as parent liaison for the 24-25 school year. Need a second?
Second. Looks like it's fine.
Questions, concerns, discussions? All in favor?
Aye.
Oppose? Abstain?
Abstain.
Motion carries.
Can I say something really quick? So first off, I just want to say our parent liaisons are extremely valuable, and I thank every last one of them. I don't see any of them here today, but a lot of times they're in the building. They are crucial. Our parents need them, so I'm thankful to see these contracts continue to be renewed, and I hope that we'll always have a place for them in the district. This is me personally, but I'm sure if we had more people in the room, they would be able to attest. Our parent liaisons are incredible, and they do a lot, so a big shout out to our parent liaisons.
Can I have a motion for 8.15, authorization to enter into an agreement with Dardine Pilavoco to serve as parent liaison for the 24-25 school year.
Second.
Questions, concerns, discussions? All in favor?
Aye.
Oppose? Abstain? Motion carries. Can I have a motion for 8.16, authorization to continue services with Lehman College to implement Learning United with Success at STEAM Academy program, the PLUS program.
Motion.
Questions, concerns, discussions? All in favor?
Aye.
Oppose? Abstain? Motion carries. I have a motion for 8.17, authorization to enter into a memorandum of understanding with Smile New York Outreach, LLC, and the Mount Vernon City School District for the 24-25 school year.
Second.
Questions, concerns, discussions? All in favor?
Aye.
Oppose? Abstain? Motion carries. I have a motion for 8.18, approval of student services, pupil personnel services, number 3, dated August 20th, 2023.
Second.
Questions, concerns, discussions?
Question, does this represent all, this doesn't represent all the charter schools that we're gonna have to pay for 24-25, does it?
Not. So these are not just charter schools. These are schools for students who we have out of district and special act schools. The only charter school that you have in here, you notice that I also included the attendance.
Right, okay, so we should see another resolution,
Yes.
okay, thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye,
Oppose?
sorry.
Abstain? Motion carries. I have a motion for 8.19, authorization to amend student services, pupil personnel memo number 1, tab 8.24, dated July 2nd, 2024.
Second.
Questions, concerns, discussions? All in favor?
Aye.
Oppose? Abstain? Motion carries. I have a motion for 8.20, authorization to amend student services, pupil personnel memo number 18, tab 8.23, dated May 23rd, 2024. Need a second?
Second.
Questions, concerns, discussions? All in favor?
Aye.
Oppose? Abstain? Motion carries. I have a motion for 9.1, approval of the extension of uniform bid contract number 2324-05 for the 24-25 school year.
Second.
Questions, concerns, discussions? All in favor?
Aye.
Oppose? Abstain? Motion carries. I have a motion for 9.2, authorization to accept memorandum of understanding between Mount Vernon City School District, between the City School District of New Rochelle and the Mount Vernon City School District for pool usage at the Mount Vernon Aquatic Facility.
Motion. Second.
Questions, concerns, discussions? All in favor?
Aye.
Oppose? Abstain? Motion carries. Can I have a motion for 9.3, printer maintenance and supply contract added to the services of CBS and Xerox?
Second.
Questions, concerns, discussions? All in favor?
Aye.
Oppose? Abstain? Motion carries. I have a motion for 10.1, approve general funds transfer for August 20th, 2024.
Second.
Questions, concerns, discussions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Abstain? Motion carries. Can I have a motion for 10.2? Authorize a contract for business operations and finance consultant services to Bruce H. Singer through June 30th, 2025.
Second.
Questions, concerns, discussions? All in favor?
Aye.
Oppose? Abstain? Motion carries. Can I have a motion for 10.3? Approve the settlement of tax proceedings for 17 South McQuestion Parkway LLC, 2371 Exterior LLC, 627 South Columbus LLC, CBD Properties, New York LLC, Grandview Park Associates LLC, Nonon LLC, and SS Enterprise Realty.
Motion.
Second.
Questions, concerns, discussions? All in favor?
Aye.
Oppose? Abstain?
Stay.
Motion carries. Can I have a motion for 10.4, authorization to approve amended agreement with EFPR Group and Mount Vernon City School District?
Second.
Questions, concerns, discussions? All in favor?
Aye.
Oppose? Abstain?
Abstain.
Motion carries. Can I have a motion for 10.5, authorization to declare computer network equipment unusable and obsolete for the purpose of discard?
Motion.
Questions, concerns, discussions? All in favor?
Aye.
Oppose? Abstain? Motion carries. Can I have a motion for 10.6, authorization to enter into an agreement with TransFinder to develop district-wide bus routing and scheduling solutions?
Second.
Question.
Questions, concerns, discussions?
I'm no simple, but this is going to be for the, we need them to do this to, I'm sorry. We need them to do this scheduling. Am I not in the mic? I'm sorry, Mr. Oscar. What exactly are they doing for certain, I don't understand, just for the school year? This is them developing routes for the school year that's coming? Is this, just help me understand.
Sure, no, I could clarify that. So TransFinder is actually, they won't be providing services, they're software. So it's routing software. Currently, the school district, the bus companies do the routing for us. We're now looking at bringing that in-house in terms of the routing to make sure that they're being run efficiently. So we would need routing software in order to do that. We looked at a couple, but TransFinder is the most used in New York State. Once we have that software, what we're going to look to do is an efficiency study to see if we could do anything to reduce the number of routes that the district is currently doing in order to achieve some cost savings.
You answered the other question I had right after. Thank you. Appreciate
Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Oppose? Abstain? Motion carries. Can I have a motion for 11.1, approval of consultant agreement between Alan Gonzalez and the Mount Vernon City School District?
Second.
Questions, concerns, discussions? All in favor?
Aye.
Oppose? Abstain? Motion carries. Can I have a motion for 11.2, approval of contract agreement between Andres Williams and the Mount Vernon City School District? Can I have a second?
Second.
Questions, concerns, discussions?
So it says a contract, but if I read it correctly, with the attachment, it says also that there's the expectation of taking a test. And so is it a contract or is it just a civil service? She has to wait till the civil service test. So therefore it's provisional right now?
Yes, it's provisional,
Is that
so
what it is?
we're waiting for the test.
Okay, so it's not a contract.
It is a contract because it's exempt from the CSCA union, so that's why we're in a contract with her.
Okay, all right. All right.
All in favor?
Aye.
Oppose? Abstain?
Abstain.
Motion carries. Can I have a motion for 12.1, authorization to appoint district-wide DASA coordinators for the 24-25 school year?
Motion.
Second. Question.
Questions, concerns, discussions?
Who maintains DAS?
Second.
Questions, concerns, discussions? All in favor?
Aye.
Oppose? Abstain? Motion carries. I have a motion for 8.7, authorization to approve the Mount Vernon City School District Comprehensive Improvement Plan and School Comprehensive Education Plan for the 24-25 school year.
Second.
Questions, concerns, discussions? All in favor?
Aye.
Oppose? Abstain? Motion carries. I have a motion for 8.8, authorization to continue services with Mercy University to implement Smart Scholars Program with the Mount Vernon City School District for the 24-25 school year.
Motion.
Second.
Questions, concerns, discussions? All in favor?
Aye.
Oppose? Abstain? Motion carries. I have a motion for 8.9, authorization to enter into agreement with Maura Gutierrez to serve as parent liaison for the 24-25 school year.
Motion.
Second.
Questions, concerns, discussions? All in favor?
Aye.
Oppose? Abstain? Motion carries. Can I have a motion for 8.10, authorization to enter into an agreement with Pamela Valdovinos to serve as parent liaison for the 24-25 school year?
Motion. Question.
Questions, concerns, discussions?
Just, I'm backwards, but are compact committees involved with these hirings?
Oppose?
We coming back?
Okay.
I don't believe we'll be coming back from executive session tonight.
Motion carries. We are in executive.
Thank you. Thank you, Rita.
You're welcome.